first thing is educate yourself on farming, just the agriculture space in general. Educate yourself, look at the different opportunities, and then also just be prepared to know that you will have setbacks, like serious setbacks. Also, the week you're supposed to harvest izitshalo zakho seziyafa and you're not understanding why. Or, moto to planta so hlaselwa ama-pest. So you need to be aware of the setbacks of what you're planting or of what you're going to be doing in general. And then there's ways that you can get in the agricultural industry without really having, your own piece of land. So stuff like your community, what is it called? Your communal. Yeah, your communal farming, you can always start there. You can always rent out a farm. I know sometimes it may not be viable for you because you don't necessarily have the funding for it. But yeah, I think your best bet would be communal lending, or even just in your backyard. Producing however many bunches that you can, whether it be 20 bunches, 30 bunches a week. At least it's something. Okay,
and when it comes to piggery, what opportunities are there besides bacon?
That's a very good question.
Hello, young farmers. Welcome to another episode of Seasons of Growth. So today we're joined by an inspiring young man named Bokang, the founder and owner of Ridinare Farming Projects. He's going to be telling us a little bit about his story and how he's transitioned from being in animal production and now in crop production. Hi, Bokang. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you very much.
How are you today?
I'm good. And yourself?
Good, thank you. So if you can, please just introduce yourself to whoever is listening and tell us a little bit more about your farming project.
Okay. My name is Bokang Monareng. I'm a 20-year-old aspiring farmer. What I do. So currently I'm in the planting space. I deal with horticulture. My main commodity is obviously vegetables, and now I'm planting tomatoes. Planted a lot of different cultivars, but it's mainly for research purpose. Why I love agriculture? I don't know. Agriculture is sort of it's an industry where you're able to really find yourself in a way, but it's also a very humbling industry to be in. It's an industry that takes a lot of hard work and dedication, of which I have both. Yeah.
Okay, so before we go any further, you mentioned very big words here, horticulture and cultivars, I think you said. Yeah. So if you can, please just elaborate a little further on what it means, what it is, for someone who has no idea what that is. Please just elaborate for us.
Okay, so horticulture is what can I say? It's more like it's a subcategory within the agriculture industry as a whole.
Okay.
So you mainly deal with your vegetables, your fruits, your trees, your flowers, and all of that. And then your cultivars is the different type of commodity. So for example, even with tomatoes, there's SCX, there's 1722. I think the one that people know most is the gem tomato and the little Roma.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And then if you can tell us what sparked the passion for farming? Like, at what point in your life did you know, and I think I want to do this for a living, because it's not the most common path, and a lot of young people also don't look at it as, a career, a viable career path. So what was it for you? At what point did you discover that actually I really, really love this?
Okay, it wasn't something that happened since I was a young, a young boy. At my house, we don't have any background of agriculture. It actually started right around grade 12, grade 11, grade 12 when I was applying for university. So what happened was I realized that, okay, I'm not really a person who's into theory like that. And I just had like a passion for just animals in general. So I sat my parents down and we showed one another the different industries that I could go into that are more practical based. And then, yeah, we ended up landing onto that agriculture.
Nice. And then your company, Ridinare Farming and Projects, focuses on primary agriculture. What made you move from animal and livestock production and focus fully on crop production?
Okay, so I have to say, I think the main thing was just the opportunities within the planting space. With animals, I did want to, but we bought a piece of land in Laval. So, but then as we found out during like that whole buying process, or it was just after the buying process, that you can't have animals because I wanted to specialize in piggery.
Okay.
Yeah, so we found out that okay, you can't have pigs and whatnot. And it was around the same time that I went into Eikenhof. And Eikenhof is it's primarily a vegetable production area. So yeah, the more I got into it, the more I realized the opportunities, and yeah, I think that's just what made me stick there.
Right. And you mentioned that after school, you and your parents like sat down together and basically brainstormed a way forward. How have they played a role in, your current endeavors and your passions? Are they people that support you? Are they with you? Do they come to the farm and plant with you? Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so with my parents, they are very supportive. Firstly, they are very supportive. I think as soon as we made the decision that I was going into agriculture, they started, pulling their own resources and whatnot into actually getting me onto a platform for me to pursue this agriculture passion. They don't come to the farm where I plant currently, but that's also because they are very they don't have a lot of time per se. But yeah, otherwise, Bona, they're very supportive.
So, what's the main crop that you plant, and how big is your farm at this time?
Okay, so this one is it's kind of it's a bit of a long story.
Okay.
Let me explain. So the current farm that we own at my family, it's not in use. We're still getting, we're still trying to get processes and other stuff
Okay.
sorted out before we can actually start operating. So
Right.
for now, I'm still in Eganoff,
Okay.
and I'm operating in. I know it's not a lot, like under one tunnel, which is around 300 square meters. But my main commodity now is tomatoes. So
Okay.
I planted. I think it's how many plants? 700 plants.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, of tomato plants.
And which cultivar of tomatoes is this?
Okay, so I have four different cultivars in one tunnel. So the first one is SCX 824. Second one is 1722, and then I have Suti 360, and then I also have is it it's Bambita if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
And the main difference, is it the size? Is it how they look, how they taste, or everything is different?
Usually what will be different, especially with okay, so with these cultivars, there's different things. There's something called indeterminate and determinate. So indeterminate is something that grows up,
Okay.
and then determinate is what it grows more like a bush.
Okay.
So the cultivars that I have, they're indeterminates, but they differ in terms of the fruit size, the fruit quality, the maturity stage, and I think it's the thickness. Yeah, the thickness of the stems. Yeah.
Okay. And then previously you mentioned that you've experimented with things like green peppers and rockets, I think you mentioned, and that obviously didn't work out. What did you learn from that experience? Like, did you learn anything? Is it something that you think in the future you want to later go back into, or was it just school fees that you paid and you're good? How did that go?
Okay, so with my green peppers, I did find success. That was really my first success in the horticulture space. And then with a rocket, the herb, I think one thing that I have learned is just find a market sometimes before you plant.
Okay.
Especially with these niche things such as your herbs, your baby vegetables and your whatnot. It's very important to find a market before you even plant. Because something that the main thing that we battled with was market in terms of the herbs. So yeah, I'd say focus more on finding the market if you are gonna go into herbs. And yeah, it is something that I'm willing to go back into. I just again need to find the right channels to go into. So last time we tried to go to what was it? Was it Evergreen? Yeah, I think it was Evergreen or something like that. But yeah, I think the guy also told me like the processes of being registered as a seller, and that's when something else that I learned that okay, so there are also processes to finding these types of markets and whatnot.
Okay. And then this far, what would you say is one of your biggest successes as a young farmer? And what are you most proud of yourself?
Uh okay, the biggest success, like I said, again, it has to be the green peppers. But I think that's financial wise.
Okay.
It has to be green peppers. Um, Physically wise or mentally wise, I think I've gotten a lot stronger. I'm more enduring, I'm more faithful because it also does play, it had played a role in my spiritual walk and all that. And yeah, just being able to, fight in this agriculture industry, especially with the rarity, number one, and yeah, the rarity of opportunities as a young person. I think I've pushed myself hard enough to be able to, identify opportunities and try and knock through many different doors.
Okay. All right. Now, I think this is a question a lot of people have, especially young farmers, right? Is there money in farming?
No, of course. No, of course. Farming it does have a lot of money. That part I cannot lie to you.
Okay.
You just need to know how to,
To make it.
yeah.
And then you mentioned that with the green peppers, that was your biggest financial like success.
Yeah.
Tell us figures, Pella. Like how much did you
My
make?
figures, I think the figures, they were around 25K.
Okay.
Yeah, in the space of, what was it? I can't remember. Yeah, it
Okay.
was 20.
And I mean that's like very good returns. Right?
Yeah. Because I think the input costs, they traveled around 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you
8 to
doubled
10.
more than double.
More than doubled, yeah.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And currently, what would you say are your biggest expenses running a farm? Like, what are the biggest expenses, firstly? And secondly, how much do you generally need to keep your farm afloat without any hiccups, without any shortages?
Okay. The biggest expenses has to be your fertilizers and your insecticides or your sprayers. Yeah, I think those ones, they are the main reoccurring expenses that are, a killer. Generally, I think in that 300 square meters of mine, I think, what do you need? I think I calculated it to be around maybe 7 or 8,000.
Okay.
And that's just on fertilizer and chemicals.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
I haven't even included the packaging and all that. So
sure. And you package yourself and take it to the market yourself.
yes,
So where do you take your produce once it's fully grown?
I take it to Joburg Market under the agency RSA.
RSA.
Yeah.
Okay, so for someone watching that wants to know how to do that, what was the process? Is it costly? Is it difficult? Do you pay lots of money? Is it free? How does it go?
It's free actually.
Okay.
Yeah. It's as simple as going to the Joburg markets, identifying which agency you want to go to,
Okay.
and then just speaking to the sales agent from that agency.
Okay.
And then yeah, they will give you a book, but it's completely free.
Okay.
At no charge.
Okay. And then how do the returns work? Do you get your money? Like, do you take your products there, they give you money immediately, or do they have to sell the products, or how does it work?
Yeah, they have to sell the products.
Okay. And
Yeah,
do
yeah.
they take something from it, or is that also free?
No. They have to take. Then I've made a So yeah, they do take something from it, but it's not too bad. It's not a ridiculous amount. Yeah.
Okay, so currently, you mentioned earlier that you had a partner and you guys parted ways. How has that like been? Like, how's the journey of having someone that you were splitting like ideas, costs with, to just now walking all by yourself? Like, how did that turn out?
Uh it was it's demanding because obviously the workload now doubles.
Right.
So what you guys were sharing in workload, it doubles. What you guys were sharing in financials, it doubles. So it hasn't been easy, to be fair. It hasn't been, walk in the park. But it's Yazama. So yeah.
And what would you say that transition has taught you about partnerships in general and farming with or without a partner?
With partnerships, I think it's very important to form partnerships. Actually, if you guys want to, or if you want to progress in this agricultural industry, it's very important that you form a partnership with someone that you trust. Because abanye abantu uyasebenza lapha maqeda uyaharvesta umsongeko. So I think I was very fortunate to have a partner who is very trustworthy, a partner who is as dedicated as I was. What has it taught me? Like I said, it's very important. You know, two is better than one in almost any scenario.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. And then let's talk a little bit about your business. When did you formally register it, and what does Ridinare mean?
I formally registered the business in 2022.
Okay.
Yeah, that was, I think, I was still in my matric years.
Okay.
I formed it in 2022, and Ridinare means we are buffaloes.
Okay.
Yeah, in Sotho.
What was the inspo for that?
My surname is Monareng. So, and buffaloes are they're generally just strong and resilient animals. So, yeah, I think I went with that knowing that, I am going to be a resilient person as well.
Nice. All right. So, what is the long-term vision and goal for Ridinare Farming and Project? Where do you see it growing to? What do you want for it, like in the short term and in the long term?
Okay. Short term, if at least I can get a sort of funding just to be able to, kickstart myself. Going into the horticulture space just in in bigger spaces. If I can use that land, at least if even if I can use 50% of it, I'll be content. And in the long term, so my long term vision is to go into piggery. Yeah. So if I can at least go into piggery within the next 10, 15 years, and obviously just scale up from the land that I'm currently going to work on.
Okay. And when it comes to piggery, what opportunities are there besides bacon?
That's a very good question. Well, there's opportunities in the export markets. There's opportunities in secondary agriculture. yeah, there's quite a few opportunities. You can supply your local butcheries, your more known butcheries, your Pick and Pays and your all that.
Awesome. Okay, let's get into a little bit more fun questions and conversations. So if you're not on the farm, what do you do? Like, where can, like, let's say a friend is calling you and say, hey, what are you guys doing? Like, what do you do for fun?
Okay. For fun, usually, if I'm alone or after work, I'll usually go to soccer practice.
Okay.
But since that is now, so we're closed for the season, we just go to golfing most of the
Okay.
time. Yeah, we just go to golfing. We go to night markets. So your Albertons, your Fourways, and yeah, we just take a chill pill.
Well, that's nice. So wholesome stuff, no clubbing and stuff.
Obviously, man, let's be cool now. Man,
Yes.
let's be cool.
Nice. No, that's really fun. And as a young person that is, you are young, you can't deny the fact that, there's other things besides work. How do you balance the two? Like, is there ever a time where you feel like, yo, yazi abangani bam are busy having fun, mina busy la, full of dust. Like, how do you balance the two to make yourself happy, but
Yeah.
also continue with the vision?
Yeah, yeah. I must say it's very difficult. If you're constantly going to be looking at them. But also, I think it's very important to have friends who understand your vision and who won't put you under any pressure for you to be, to stray out of your vision. Balancing, I usually just work with 5 days a week.
Okay.
And then Saturday, Sundays is free game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kula udlala khona ibhola.
Yeah, ilang dala khona ibhola.
Golfing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. And then in terms of assistance, right? You mentioned funding, obviously, but as a platform like Young Farmer, how can we help you get to the next step or chapter of Iridinary Farming and Project?
I think just promotion, mainly just promotion of the business and just introducing the name Ridinare to people out there.
Okay. And if we are promoting, how do people find you? How do people buy from you? You mentioned that you don't have any private buyers at this time because all your produce, you take it to the market. So in terms of reachability, how do people reach you?
Okay, so you guys can reach me on WhatsApp. My number is 083 291 0787. Or you can email me at bkmonare@icloud.com.
All right. So you mentioned promotion, right? And now, as a farmer, what would you say is one sector in the farming space that you need most assistance with? So, besides the funding, is it financial literacy? Is it equipment? Is it training? What exactly would help you as a solo farmer to grow? And maybe once you hire people, you can also teach those skills.
It has to be more training.
Okay.
Yeah, more training. I think also adequate equipment.
Okay.
And yeah, you are right. Financial literacy. I think a lot of people miss out on the financial literacy of farming because the money is constantly. It's if you're gonna be harvesting weekly and you're selling weekly, the money is constantly coming in and out, in and out.
Right.
And so it's easy to confuse, your different transactions. And on usually with the this weekend poppy.
Gandhi.
Gandhi next. Right,
No, I
so
see.
yeah, I think all three of those they would be helpful.
Okay. All right. And then lastly, so if there's a young farmer out there watching this saying, yazi, nami ngifuna ukufana noBokang, nami ngifuna ukuyenza ama 20-25K, what would you tell them? Like, how would you tell them to start? And what would be something to say, you know what, don't overlook this. This is important. How would you inspire them?
I'd say the first thing is educate yourself on farming, just the agriculture space in general. Educate yourself, look at the different opportunities, and then also just be prepared to know that you will have setbacks, like serious setbacks. Uzothola ukuthi the week you're supposed to harvest izitshalo zakho seziyafa and you're not understanding why. Or moto to planta so hlaselwa ama-pest. So you need to be aware of the setbacks of what you're planting or of what you're going to be doing in general. And then there's ways that you can get in the agricultural industry without really having, your own piece of land. So stuff like your community, what is it called? Your communal. Yeah, your communal farming, you can always start there. You can always rent out a farm. I know sometimes it may not be viable for you because you don't necessarily have the funding for it. But yeah, I think your best bet would be communal lending, or even just in your backyard. Producing however many bunches that you can, whether it be 20 bunches, 30 bunches a week. At least it's something.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your journey with us, Bokang. Thank you for inspiring young farmers out there, inspiring us as young farmer as well. I think your story shows that setbacks are part of the journey, but so is growth, So keep going. We hope to see Ridinare in billboards and global, and yeah, we definitely will keep in touch. Thank you.
Thank you very much.